Good evening, everyone. This is your evening news recap. I hope all of you guys are having a wonderful day. My day was all right. A little bit of news to cover today. Four topics from the Trump administration segment and two topics from the other news segment. Keeping it up with the Trump administration segments and other news segments per usual. Hope all of you guys are having a wonderful day. Not too much for me to yap about today. The birds are yapping. Um, Yeah, not too much to say, not too much to say. That being said, let's get started. It's getting hot in here already, and I just closed this door. That's unfortunate. Trump has signed Trump has signed an order requiring truck drivers to speak English. Trump claims he runs the country and the world. The Navy has lost a $60 million fighter jet, and Trump plans to investigate journalists for publishing polls he doesn't like. Trump is to sign an executive order requiring truck drivers to speak English. President Trump has signed an executive order on Monday that requires commercial truck drivers in the United States to be proficient in English. The text of the order acknowledges the essential role that truck drivers play in the U.S. economy and the livelihood for American people. The order states every day, truckers perform the demanding and dangerous work of transporting the nation's goods to businesses, customers, and communities safely, reliably, and efficiently. Going on to say, they should be able to read and understand traffic signs, communicate with traffic safety, border patrol, agricultural checkpoints, and cargo weight limit station officers. Drivers need to provide feedback to their employers and customers, and receive related directions in English. Under the order, a driver must be able to read and speak English sufficiently to converse with the general public. Okay, this may not be, what's the word? Um, Hot statement? No. Um, Not everyone's going to agree with this one. We'll go with that. Someone correct me. I've lost what it's called. But honestly, I don't think this is a bad idea. And I don't really disapprove of this one. A majority of the people in the United States, in fact, do speak English, and drivers should be able to communicate with the people they're delivering to, because you're not always going to have like the big boss or someone who can translate. On site when receiving a delivery, or something along the lines. So if you don't have a translator, somebody needs to be able to speak. And I mean, if the driver speaks English, it kind of makes it easier, especially with agents going in between borders of other countries coming into the United States. But I think this only applies to U.S. drivers, so that might not even matter. Um, I mean, as a whole, I just don't really think this is a bad idea. I think it's, kind of just common sense, in my opinion. But maybe some people disagree, maybe not. Let me know. Moving on, Trump claims he runs the country and the world. Trump met with an interviewer with the Atlantic last week, during which he stated, "I run the country and the world." Trump said in the interview, "The first time I had two things to do: run the country and survive. I had all these crooked guys, and the second time, I run the country and the world." The Atlantic asked about Pete Hegseth, and Trump said he's going to get it together. He was also asked about running for a third term and said, "That would be a big shattering, wouldn't it? Well, maybe I'm just trying to shatter." Trump is definitely running the country into 1940s Germany. That's for sure. This man fails again, and again. He doesn't run the world. In fact, the world laughs at him and us. He tarnishes the reputation of the United States and makes it one of the largest global laughingstocks. I mean, China is on the rise, and that is Trump's fault. And he spent his entire administration shitting on them. The proof is in the pudding right there. The Navy has lost a $60 million fighter jet. A U.S. Navy FA-18 Super Hornet fighter jet has been lost at sea after it fell overboard from the USS Harry S. Truman aircraft carrier while it was being towed on board. The Navy said in a statement on Monday, officials officials report that Truman made a hard turn to evade Houthi fire, which contributed to the jet falling overboard. The statement said the FA-18E was actively under tow in hangar bay when the move crew lost control of the aircraft. The aircraft and tow tractor were lost overboard. Sailors towing the aircraft took immediate action to move clear of the aircraft before it fell overboard. An investigation is underway. Um, you know, I think it's crazy to me that or it is crazy to me that a $60 million aircraft can just fall in the ocean and they don't recover it. I mean, I don't know too much about military tools and vehicles for as much as I know about the wars and all of that. You'd think I'd know more, but I really just haven't done more research into military equipment. Not really the biggest interest of me. So I don't know if it's possible, but you'd think if it's something has that price tag, you should be able to salvage it and have it be usable if it falls into the ocean. Um, I feel like and sure, maybe it drops somewhere where it's hard to get, or maybe you can't find it. But $60 million is a hefty price tag that could go to a lot of things in public areas if it isn't a jet that's sitting at the bottom of an ocean. That could go to homelessness. That could go to the hunger crisis. That could go to so many different things in our society, and that's why we need to defund the military. But they don't like hearing that one. Uh, Dropping my phone again, and I'm turning it off. Moving on to our final Trump segment tonight. Trump plans to investigate journalists for publishing polls he doesn't like. Trump tore into a number of leading news organizations over polls that showed his support dropping, as recent polls show his support at 39%. Trump wrote these people should be investigated for election fraud, going on to say, they're negative criminals who apologize to their subscribers and readers after I win election big. Much bigger than their polls showed I would win. Lose a lot of credibility and then go on cheating and lying for the next cycle, only worse. He accused pollsters and top media outlets of suffering from, quote, Trump derangement syndrome, and there is nothing anyone can do about it, anyone or anything can do about it, end quote. The continued attack on free speech and the media, with nobody stopping it, needs to end now. The fact that he is allowed to do this is absolutely insane. And I mean, it's insane because it's one of the core values of the United States. It's one of the core values that this country was founded on. So I don't understand why he's able to not only continuously attack our nation's free speech, but our nation's media as well. It shouldn't be allowed and it shouldn't be possible. Moving on to the other news segment, we have two things to cover here today. Spain and Portugal experienced a massive blackout, and Pakistan says an Indian military incursion is imminent. Spain, Portugal, and some of France suffered major power outages on Monday, with many major cities affected. Houses, trains, traffic lights, and even the Madrid Open tennis tournament were all hit, causing chaos. This apparently happens due to a rare atmospheric vibration called a synchronization, causing failures between the electrical systems, which led to successive disturbances across the interconnected European network. Power has begun to return as of 5 p.m. PST. I'm glad to hear power has returned. Hopefully, any damage caused is salvageable. I know that critical places like hospitals have generators and such, so people don't get put at risk. But, it is possible that some food was put at risk. Hopefully, this didn't affect, your areas, or if, your day-to-day lives. If you live or work in these areas, shout out to my, European audience. You guys are super cool. Great people over there. There's not too many of you, but for the ones who are out there, you guys are goated, legends. So yeah, I'm glad to hear that power has returned. Moving on, Pakistan says India's military incursion is imminent. Pakistan's defense minister said on Monday that a military incursion by India was imminent in the aftermath of a deadly strike on tourists in Kashmir last week. The attack killed 26 people and triggered an outrage in India, along with calls for action against Pakistan. Pakistan said in a statement, "We have reinforced our focus because it is something which is imminent now, so that in a situation some strategic decisions have been taken." If a full-on war breaks out, this could be deadly and likely play out in so many ways that aren't great. I support India, honestly. If you don't like that, sorry. Um, I just personally think that India is doing better, I guess. And Pakistan did attack India, so I believe. Kashmir's in India, right? I'm gonna look like an ass if I'm incorrect about this. And yeah, no, Kashmir's in India, bro. I'm tripping. Um, India was attacked unreasonably, so India should be able to defend themselves. And although a real war would break out, and I would say, please don't start a war because the war with Pakistan could be really bad and lead to some terrible things. If something did break out, I would, support India truly, um, because a war against India and Pakistan could be a very dangerous one, though. You know, let's reevaluate the situation and try not to let that happen because many implications could go there, especially if China decides to get into that. And I feel like it's very possible in that situation. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you're on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, be sure to drop a like, be sure to drop a comment down below. We're on our way to 500. Let's get there eventually. Maybe by the end of the year, maybe by the end of the summer. I don't know. But, thanks for checking me out. If you're on Substack, consider pledging your support. All funds go to me. They help me pay for the bills that I need to pay for and the food and shit, all I need to get in college, all that stuff. But if not, subscribing is always free. I appreciate all forms of support on my content. Truly, you guys mean the world to me. I wouldn't be doing this if you guys weren't supporting my work. Also consider checking out my Blue Sky. It's in the link in the bio of both my platforms. I'm also on Instagram and so many other things. But check out Blue Sky specifically if you want the announcements for when these drop. Just random little posts about maybe my thoughts or however I'm feeling. I made a tweet today about Jalen Hurts, or a tweet. I don't even know what it's called on Blue Sky. But yeah, with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you all in tomorrow's episode. Later.